Perfect. Hello, everyone, and welcome officially to the second installment of the LinkedIn Live events hosted by us here at Elastic. My name is Rachel, and I will be the host for today. So I am a senior technical recruiter based out of London and have been with Elastic for coming up to 2 years now. So I can see lots of people joining. I would really love to see where you're all logging in from. So feel free to leave your location in the chat. It'll be good to see where everyone's coming from. I can see some answers. We've got people in France, in Texas, in the US. So super happy. We've got a globally distributed audience just like us here. So why are we here today? I think, as we're all aware, there's been quite a lot of talk within the tech industry about how we should be working in a post-pandemic world, with lots of businesses wondering if they stay fully remote, move to hybrid, or bring their teams back into the office full time. We've seen data from Forbes that 98% of people still want a lot of flexibility within their roles. So we wanted to come together to discuss how our engineering teams operate at Elastic as we are a fully distributed company. We have been since before the pandemic and will continue to be so as well. So we've got a few topics that we would like to cover today, but if anyone has any questions, please do feel free to pop those in the chat and we can get back to them at the end of the call as well. Now I've got the awesome pleasure to introduce our panel today. Firstly, Diana, do you want to introduce yourself and your background?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Jourdan, and I'm the engineering manager of the Extract and Transform team in the Search group. I'm based in Munich in Germany, and I've been with Elastic for a bit more than 2 years now. I have studied computer science in Romania. I lived and worked for 10 years in France. And during this time, I had different roles, starting from IC roles as a developer in different industries, solution engineering, SRE. And like 5 years ago, I transitioned into people management, the role I really liked and I have right now in Elastic. And before joining Elastic, I spent about 10 years in the search area, but building mainly search solutions for airlines.
Nice, that's great. And what about yourself, Madhura? Same question to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Hey, y'all. My name is Madhura Chopra, and I'm the Director of Engineering at Elastic for a team called Security Analyst Experience Team. I'm based in Santa Clara, California, and I've been with Elastic for close to 4 years now. I started my engineering career with access and provisioning identity management. I came to Silicon Valley around 2007, and I further shaped my career into enterprise security. So since the past 12 years, I've had the pleasure of associating with Enterprise Security Solutions Suite mainly. I've worked with numerous projects such as data collections, parsing, normalization, data storage, monitoring, and config management. Overall, what kept me going on a rainy day was the people I work with, and that's what basically motivated me to the leadership path.
Nice, great. And last but not least, Stacey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stacey King-Poling, and I'm a Director of Engineering, and I run the Platform Engineering Productivity and SRE teams. So I've been at Elastic for 2 years now, and I've worked in engineering since the last century. So I started my career as an engineer in 1996. And I've been back and forth between IC and leadership roles throughout my entire career. So back in those olden days, I started out in database and I moved into software engineering, and then I moved into performance engineering. And so this is kind of what led me into what we now call DevOps. And I've been in this domain for a really long time. And it's what we call engineering productivity at Elastic, and more industry-wide, it's become the evolution of like platform engineering.
Perfect. I guess whilst we're here, Stacey, with yourself, do you want to give us an introduction to what your team does at Elastic?
Sure. So my teams, again, it's engineering productivity and SRE. We build the enablement and reliability systems that engineers all across Elastic utilize. So if you think about like CI/CD tooling, observability, infrastructure networking, quality frameworks and gateways, standards for operations. So if you think about like operational KPI reviews and production readiness guidelines, incident management. We also run the capacity team, which is basically, it's the fiscal responsibility of utilizing our CSP resources wisely, and then developer environments, also the cloud security team, and last but not least, all of our product releases.
Nice. Okay, great. And what about yourself, Madhura? What's your team up to?
So my team is mainly responsible for an enterprise security product, which is also known as Security Information and Event Management, SIEM, very popularly. So basically the task is identifying threats, vulnerabilities, risk within the enterprises. And there are various security workflows such as that an analyst goes through. So our life is basically to make the security analyst's life easier. The workflows such as detection workflow, threat hunting workflow, threat intelligence workflow. While working on these features in these products, my team also tries to amalgamate the latest technology with the existing features and products to bring in innovation as much as we can. A very interesting part of the job profile is also to be able to connect with customers, directly solve their problems, either by troubleshooting the issue or in the production environment, or bringing in the suggestions in form of features. An integral part also is of being a team member is also to be able to establish various connection within and outside of Elastic.
Great. No, that's great. And yeah, finally, Deanna, what does your team do?
Yes, my team is in charge of getting search optimized data into Elasticsearch to mainly enable search use cases. So we are at the beginning of the onboarding flow for customers. So to build search experience, first you need to get your data in. And this means extracting and transforming, keeping in sync data from a variety of data sources. So the data that gets into Elasticsearch can be used to build on top of its search experience. In the current context of developers being interested to apply generative AI technologies to their private data, we are proud to provide tools that help developers be able to bring their private data into Elasticsearch. Different support ingestion methods are part of the responsibility of my team, from APIs, JSV APIs, web crawlers, and connectors. We have a continuous growing connectors offering that it's built on top of a connector framework. I'm sure we can share the link to the connectors repository. It's a public repository where each developer can go and try out a connector that my team built, can customize it, or can use the framework itself to build a connector for a data source that is not already part of the offering. We are working and providing this to developers. So helping developers, staying in touch with the community, getting feedback, and making sure that we provide tools that help developers. It's part of the main goal and mission for my team.
Nice. No, that's great. So yeah, I guess now we've gone through the introductions, let's get into the topic of how we set our teams up for success in a remote environment. Again, firstly to the audience, we'd love to see what your companies are offering you in regards to flexibility. Are you still working remote after the pandemic, or have you had to go back into the office? It would be good to get the discussion going. But yeah, I know all of you, as leaders, are working in a distributed way with your teams over multiple time zones. So firstly, I guess, Madhura, what tips do you have for people trying to carve out their career path in a distributed company?
Yeah, what a great question. Actually, distributedness is a new thing that's coming up, and it's a change. So things it'll take time to adapt to this change. At the same time, I genuinely believe in coming into the company as one can bring the most value if they come in as they are, with an open mind to adapt to various situations. So basically, there is no one solution that fits all. One thing that has consistently worked for me is always leading with empathy, and even at times when the emotions are high, which can happen at times. So I tried to bucketize things into three. A few things that have worked for me. Basically, try to speak your team's language, figuratively and literally if you can. So as a leader, I try to find answers to these questions, like what is the language your team speaks collectively? What is the communication style? What is the preferred communication with each team member individually? What is your own preferred way of communication? And how can you as a leader try to find the best possible middle ground of how and which type of way would you like to communicate with each other? I have also observed this, that many a times as leader, we tend to think that, it's because I'm a leader, I need to adjust the most to be potentially successful in the role. I slightly defer to that, and that's only because if you're trying to look at look at leadership as the next level or the career in the long term, so the pressure of trying to adjust at all times can add stress, and that stress can distract us from the path of the empathy. So always try to find the best possible middle ground. Secondly, building and evolving connections. People connections work a long way. I try to look at the best in people and believe that if I have an open, transparent, and continuous dialogue with my team members, they'll genuinely support us. And basically, this applies to the colleagues that if I'm trying to work with outside my team, with my manager, with my team members, and so on. So build those connections. There's nothing to lose. The thirdly, and very importantly, as an individual, be the driver for your own career. I believe that every individual is responsible for their own career path. So if the manager is only going to act as a catalyst or a roadblock remover for you. So it is very important to have regular career conversations with your managers and try to take action out of those conversations, setting goals for yourself, discussing those goals, plus having that continuous conversation and see if the milestones are met. If not, that's fine. Revise them, review them, and set up the new ones.
Nice. No, completely agree. Communication is definitely key, and I think is something that we do super well here. Now, I know this is a question that comes up quite frequently from the candidates that we have in the process. So Diana, I don't know if you want to take this one, but I guess what do you do as a leader to ensure that your teams still feel connected to each other, even if they aren't, together in person, but on that distributed way?
Yeah, leading distributed teams and keeping this team spirit there, it's one of the challenging part of our job. And before Elastic, I already managed distributed teams and came here thinking that I have already some knowledge, some experience. But I found out quickly that Elastic is special, and being a distributed company from the beginning and having this way of working in the company DNA made me understand that here are some tools and some way of working, and somehow it's building the team's mindset, this way of working distributedly. And what I really value a lot is open communication. And actually, whenever someone joins our group, or even something that we mentioned during interviews, is that we like working in open. Any question, any discussion, a part of something really sensitive or really private can be asked in a public channel or in an email thread. So like this, our knowledge base is growing and keeps the team also feeling like active and discussions happening. So this open communication, I would say, it's one of the most important things that I value and we enforce in the team to keep the team together. Having also not only work-related and project-related discussions, Elastic has some global channels that are called water cooler. We have also team-specific ones where people can just go and post also a private discussion or something personal. They bring their families, they bring their hobbies. It feels a bit like a coffee chat, that it's something that humans need to stay connected. One other example is one year, one of our colleagues had the idea of, what about doing a Secret Santa, even if we are a distributed team and we never met in person? And that came out a very nice way to bond and get connected as a team, and made us some nice memories. Some other thing that we am trying to do as a leader and encourage the team to be very open, recognizing and celebrating achievements. All of us, we have goals, we have project pressure, but when things happen, and especially another colleague would provide some help or would share some knowledge, we like to recognize and to have this as a team. So we call them shout outs in the team sync, in the retrospectives, in the all hands, and even in the daily stand-ups when someone wants to just say thank you to another colleague who helped them. I find it's very valuable, and in a distributed team, even more than in a team that is based in one office, when you can go and say thank you to your colleague sitting next to you. Something else, I find it's very important to have rules and goals that are very clearly defined and shared inside the team. So everyone, even if they would connect on a time zone when nobody else in the team would be there, and it's the case in my current team, we have the team is split over 3 time zones. So we have a core of the team in EMEA, but there are folks in APG, in US, who may not have many other team members on the same time zone as them. But as soon as the team priorities, the goals, the way we work, it's well defined and very clear. You don't need to be all connected on the same time to be able to function as a team. And last but not least is the personal check-in. As a lead, as Madira also mentioned, I find the one-on-ones are very important because it's the moment where we can get some personal thing. We can better understand our team members, and it's also a safe place to offer support, to hear concerns, and build that unique relationship between manager and the team.
Perfect. No, it sounds like you've got some really great practices within your team, Diana. Now, Stacey, I guess some people may say that, working fully remote may lead to people being overlooked, especially with people who, maybe have got more introverted personality types. I know we've also seen, some data from Harvard Business Review mentioning that 20% of women have felt ignored or overlooked by their colleagues during video calls. I guess, what do you do as a leader to ensure your teams have access to equal advancement opportunities? And I guess, how have you or, Elastic as a company transformed the experience for those people to succeed in the tech space?
Actually, that's a really great question. And it's a pretty broad question because we have a lot of people with different perspectives and different backgrounds. And so, first, I'm a really big believer in the power of honest mentorship and having one-on-ones with your direct reports, your skip levels as much as possible. And your skip level is just whoever's reporting into the manager that reports into you, right? And I ask every person that I have one-on-ones with within my domain, organization, or team, or even outside of my team, regardless if they're my direct report or not, about what their career goals are and what their ambitions are. And I try to find ways to get them involved in a visible way, right? So visibility is the key through all of this. Whether they're, I want to get them aligned visibly in a way that's very, very visible to all the teams, that is also aligned with their goals. And whether that is, on another team, assisting in a project, or even getting them training for what they need to kind of move into a different place or to move into a different skill set. You just got to provide that type of support for the folks on your team. It's also extremely important, if you want to be a successful leader, that you support, mentor, and groom your successors within your space. And I try very, very hard to promote within my teams. I want to give them that career path, that's again, very visible. I want people to see them growing in the space that they are in. I don't want to bring in a lot of people from the outside when I have wonderful talent right, in the space that I'm in. So my goal is to actually be the least needed person in the room, so that if I were to get hit by a bus, that my teams should be able to keep running at full speed with no worries. And so when you're dealing with folks from, more underrepresented groups in your organization, you sometimes have to take some extra steps to make it known that you're a safe person to talk to. You want the people on your team from all walks of life to feel that it's okay for them to be open with you on what they want to accomplish, and that they do feel supported. They need to know that you're there to help them meet those ambitions. We often say that diversity breeds success, and this is really true. And having a different perspective can really shake things up and drive innovation. So maybe you're someone who comes from a non-traditional background and has to have been a bit scrappy in your career, or you're gonna approach things pretty differently than somebody who went to college right out of high school and followed a more traditional path. Maybe you grew up in a different country or a culture, and that can also inform how to solve problems and overcome challenges. At Elastic, we talk about, as you are, you're going to hear us talk about this a lot. And it's part of our source code. And to me, that signals how we embrace all of those different experiences and we bring them together to do some really, really cool stuff. And as Madura pointed out earlier, learning to speak your team's language and building the trusting communication, that's really critical for folks to feel good about expressing themselves and their perspectives. So this not only applies to people of different genders, different colors, but of different personality types. As Rachel, you pointed out, if you're an introvert, sometimes you're not going to necessarily speak up in a call. You're not going to be the loudest person in the room, but you might be the strongest person in the room to address the situation. And so as you get to know your teams, you have to pay very close attention to who those people are and make sure that they are heard and that they have a platform of that visibility. Again, it really goes down to visibility, right? We don't want people to feel invisible, no matter what their personality is, their color, their gender, nothing, right? We all should be looking at this equally. And, so Elastic, 100%, we really embrace this as you are mentality. It's part of everything that we do. And it really starts right with recruitment. We pay very close attention to the wording of our job descriptions. We make sure to remove bias in our wording. We review each candidate closely, and sometimes you have to read between the lines, not just looking at the roles and responsibilities that they have had, but what the potential of that candidate actually is. We have panel interviews so that we can work together to bring in the best talent. It's all about being open to those different experiences that has brought that person to where they are in their career, to the point that they can apply at Elastic for a job, right? I myself come from a very non-traditional background, and I'm here because Elastic took a shot on embracing me as I am. So you need to embrace the different perspectives. You need to celebrate those achievements of everybody and do it all visibly. We have weekly newsletters that we send out from organizations. We have big team meetings, larger org meetings, doing demos. Call those people out, because that's what gets them that visibility. It gets people to see the contributions that they are making and gets them more in line with their career ambitions.
Amazing. No, that's great. Thanks, Stacey. I guess, moving into the sort of final topic, again, potentially another challenge is obviously on the sort of work-life balance side. How do we work at Elastic, and more importantly, how do you all encourage your individual teams to work? I don't know, Deanna, do you want to take that one first?
Yes, talking about Elastic values and what we bring to our teams. We have our source code that is something we are very proud of, and we bring in, especially during the hiring interviews, when we present the company and the roles. It's something we're very proud of. If I have to take one of the values there, the one that sticks out to me is humble, ambitious. I find that the way I'm leading the team, it's really mapping these two words, because I find that we can be ambitious with our goals, with what we want to achieve, with the way we put our work together. But this does not mean we cannot all remain humble and have a very low ego, and really be able to work as a team, as human beings, putting the goal of our group, of our team, on the first place, and not our personal ambitions. So this one, I really like it from the first day I joined Elastic, and it still plays an important role that drives me daily.
Perfect. And what about yourself, Madhura?
That's very well said, Diana. I couldn't agree more. I like Diana, I like everyone on this call has mentioned, Elastic source code rocks. We're all introduced to the source code even before we join Elastic, so that it kind of sets the tone for us. Elastic is one such company that I've seen where the source code is basically the values are being followed through. Elastic walks the talk, to say it in the simple words. So the couple of them that I would like to mention is progress, simple perfection, and it depends. So a work-life balance is important, but it depends how you look at it. Mm-hmm. So every day doesn't have to be a balanced day between work and non-work life. Being distributed, we all completely understand that many people work from home, and basically things happen, appointments pop up, the dog needs a sudden walk, or whatever it is. So if today, so for example, the way to look at it is, if today was majoritarily a non-work day for me, then it is instilled in us so organically that tomorrow becomes a more work day naturally. I believe in progress over perfection. So what that means is basically, as long as there is significant process that is happening towards the overall team goal, of course, there is an individual achievements, individual deliverables, but ultimately it's the team goal that we are trying to achieve. And there is open communication about it. Every day doesn't have to be perfectly balanced between work and non-work, because it really depends.
Perfect. Finally yourself, Stacey.
Take myself off mute there really quick. So I love our source code. I could not agree more with Diana and with Madhura. It's amazing. We really do, walk the talk. It informs every decision that we make and how we actually relate to each other as teams. I'm going to talk about home dinner. All right. So I think one of the best things about Elastic is that we're actually focused more on outcomes versus time boxes of availability. Obviously this is very heavily dependent on what teams you're on. We do have some teams that have, required, hours of availability, like especially with support and things, but we are flexible. So I think one of the best things about Elastic is how flexibility is actually encouraged and celebrated. So for instance, if somebody, needed to move around an on-call shift, which, with my teams, that's something we have to face. It's as easy as asking the team if somebody can swap. And when someone does, it's really respected and praised for being, a really good teammate. And so it might seem like a small thing, but it makes a big difference, on how people can actually work together. I also think that our leadership encourages folks to take PTO, are very supportive of working during hours that fit your lifestyle. Like as Madhura points out, it really depends. Like what's going to work great for me isn't necessarily going to work great for, some people on my team. At one point in time, I had somebody who followed the surf, right? And so you never really knew where he was going to be. But he delivered, right? And so that's the thing, is we focus on what you accomplish. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And it's not just a paper exercise about, this is how it really is from the top down. We celebrate accomplishments, not the time you spend at your desk. And another one is space time. And I know that we don't necessarily think about this as a work and life balance thing, but sometimes you can get a little burned out feeling when you're doing the same things or when you're focusing on the same things. So we have what we call as on week, right? And it's part of our space-time source code. And what that is, it's just like a week where you can pick a new project. It doesn't have to be like in your domain. It could be anywhere. If you've got an idea, you take a week and you mess with it, you write the code, you play with it, you see if it's something that it could be taken further. We've had so much innovation come out of our space-time sessions. And I think that's just amazing. Like it's such a nice refresh to allow people to kind of step back, take a breath, try something out new. And then, it gives you a bit of a refresh to go back to what you were doing before. And like I said, we've had so much innovation come out of it, new product ideas, new features ideas. It's just so valuable to me. And I'm so glad that, as a company, we embrace these types of flexibilities and we don't get tied into, no, this is only what you do. You get pigeonholed. So, I think that that's a big thing that you need to do, to make people feel like, they can be successful.
Great. No, thank you very much, Stacey. Well, yeah, that's all the topics that we wanted to cover, but I know we have had a few questions coming into the chat, but yeah, just to cover one, which I think is also quite important. Yeah, I think essentially the topic is that although, yes, of course, remote work is fantastic. And, there's many things that we can do to build those relationships, via Zoom calls. Yeah, I guess, does Elastic offer, in-person meetups when it comes to relationship building? And yeah, how often would we do those? And I'll give that to you, Diana, to answer.
Yes, I can take it. Actually, we have different events through the year where the team can get together. I can think first about the engineering all hands or other groups related all hands where we all get together, and it's very important for building relationship, to meet your team, to have all these discussions happening in person. After in the last years, Elastic moved more and more and getting project related groups or having offsites for a project. So the moment when a group of folks have to work together, they will get in the same place and spend maybe 1 week and have those discussions happening live, which makes things move faster and also build a relationship. A part of that, even if we are a distributed company, Elastic has many offices in different places in the world, and through the year, I think there are events organized. Like I can think about the Elastic Camp, where even if you are not in the city, it takes somehow the region around, and there is an event organized. And even if it's not only your team or people from your team, you get a chance to meet other Elasticians and build this relationship. So yeah, we are a distributed company, but there are these events that bring the in-person touch that it's so valuable.
No, that's great. And I'm based in London, as I said, so absolutely loved our summer camp event that happened, a couple of weeks ago now. And yeah, I think we've got time for just one more question. So Madhura, I don't know if you want to take this one, but yeah, how would you say that inclusivity affects our product?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to keep it quick. Inclusivity does affect our product. And in the beginning, I said that my team's job is to make a security analyst's life easier. So what is the definition of making the life easier? Everyone here can have a different definition. Of course, security analyst, there is a certain background to it. There's certain tasks that one has to do. But at the same time, thinking more closely or differently about the analyst, makes us think of different use cases that we need to fix in the product. So which is what I have seen when we are brainstorming about a certain workflow. Then somebody who has been, I mean, culturally we're all different, so everyone has a way to say to how we can make this particular, for every single feature, how it can be made perfect. And I have seen the features evolving in such a way that it is almost all rounded for a security analyst to not make his or her or their life easier. So that's one of the examples that came to my mind quickly.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I think that's everything for today. So thank you so much for joining, and thank you to our awesome panelists again. Again, if you're interested in learning more about our products, feel free to reach out. And we've also got our careers site for you to look at as well. But yeah, thank you very much.